Hey everyone, welcome back to But Why Though, a Geek Community. Today we're talking, reviewing, recovering all things Star Wars Celebration 2022. I'm Adrian Reese, contributor at But Why Though, a Geek Community, and I'll be taking us kind of through our discussion today. Today I'm joined by my lovely wife, Stefani Ruiz, and one of our really incredibly good friends, Albert Garcia, who is one of the biggest Star Wars fans I know and someone I talk to frequently about all things Star Wars. And he was with us at the convention. So thank you guys for joining me today. And I'm really excited to kind of talk everything Celebration.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to Celebration. That was awesome.
Yeah, wouldn't have gone with anybody else, buddy. So if you missed out on any of the big announcements at Celebration that happened, feel free to head over to our But Why Though Twitter account at But Why Though PC on our Twitter and Instagram, as well as our website, because we have all the latest things posted, some nice little recaps and things like that over there, as well as kind of some exclusive stuff that happened on video there. So like the Mandalorian installation, some of the droid builders. If you miss any of the cosplays, we have some videos of that as well on our Instagram. So head over there to check it out, and you'll be able to kind of see some of the things that we're talking about today. So I'm really excited to kind of jump into this, and in the illustrious words of Hayden Christensen, this is where the fun begins. So Star Wars Celebration was a first for all three of us. We've all been to other conventions before, but this is, as you know, I think I speak for us all when I say it's truly something different and that we've experienced. So what were some of your expectations going into Celebration? And we'll start with Albert.
One of my expectations going to Celebration, I had heard a lot about Celebration throughout the years when Force Awakens was announced and it was being promoted. Like, I knew there was this big convention, and specifically with Disney, they'd use it a lot to promote their big projects, their big Star Wars movie coming out, and they always bring out their big guns. They're promoting they're promoting Last Jedi. Mark Hamill's out there talking to everybody. They're promoting the last one, The Rise of Skywalker. Ian McDiarmid's there, like at the big Celebration panel. So I knew that this is the biggest Star Wars, convention of in the world. I knew that all the actors would be there. Ian McGregor, Hayden Christensen. So I expected to meet a lot of cool Star Wars fans and a lot of amazing actors, and I want to say it definitely delivered on that.
Yeah, what about you, Stefani?
I expected to see Adam Driver.
God.
That did not happen. But I did expect to get sick because I've been to a bunch of conventions. I mean, we all know, like, you tend to get sick about that. And I was really surprised how they handled that whole situation of like making sure that everyone was vaccinated or had gotten tested. So that was really interesting because everyone had to get a bracelet. And I also expected to be really tired by the end of this convention, and I wasn't. And I feel great. Like, I could go jogging like after the whole convention, after like landing and stuff. So it's actually surprised.
Yeah, and then for me, I think my expectation was that it's a huge convention with all of these, actors and things like that, like Albert was mentioning. But with that also comes all of these like amazing people who cover Star Wars. Like the various podcasts and Star Wars Explained and things like that were all there. So I expected, like me, being kind of like the Star Wars comics book writer guy for But Why Though, that I'd have to like see all these big name stars from far away and not really be able to get that close. But we were pretty close to a lot of really cool things. My background is one of like my favorite moments from like the event, meeting Carl Weathers. Admittedly, more excited meeting him as Apollo Creed and and Colonel Dillon in Predator. But still, we got to get really close, and it wasn't that hard. Like, we didn't have to camp out, we had to do anything crazy, and we were still in the room for a lot of really big things. So expectations were a little bit lowered, and everything just kind of blew over everything that happened. And with that, we saw a lot of really cool announcements from like new TV shows, new books, new comics, new animation with Star Wars Visions Volume 2 coming out. What new project has you the most excited? And we'll start with Albert once again.
Well, thank you. I want to add that Carl Weathers roasted me, and that was like, a picture of him. He called me a nerd, and I've never been happier to be called a nerd by anybody like before. The biggest project that I'm excited for is for sure Ahsoka. To kind of set it up, we went to the Mandalorian panel. So I went to the Mandalorian panel expecting Mandalorian stuff, and they did an amazing Mandalorian panel. And in the last 5-10 minutes, they were like, well, we got a little one more thing for you guys. Rosario Dawson comes out, they start talking Ahsoka, and then an Ahsoka teaser trailer came out. It's about 1 minute long, but what we saw, the images of Ahsoka, what the show's gonna end up being about, it got
so
me.
many back of heads in that teaser.
Yeah.
That, you know, I never thought I'd be so excited to see someone's back.
We
of
were
someone's head.
both we were audibly gasping, you know, like
Yeah.
the back of when we saw like Hera, I was like, oh my god, like that means like this is post Rebels. We get to see Hera, like all of these. Chopper was there,
Yeah.
like in live action.
Sabine, Ezra, you know, it's great.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't, depending on when this comes out, I mean, some people probably still haven't seen it legitimately, you know, outside of someone who was recording it when they shouldn't have been. But you know, if you don't watch it on like that terrible quality recording, experience that like in the full HD quality that it deserves, because it is pretty sick. But yeah, I'm in the same boat a little bit. I think Ahsoka, of course, God, it was so good. I'm a big Rebels fan, so seeing those things was great. I think outside of that, probably a little bit more obscure, but there's going to be a Yoda comic coming out for Marvel. That's going to be like in like 3 different phases of his life with, you know, multiple artists, and basically a big collaborative thing going on for Marvel Comics. So that'll be coming out, and we don't really ever get too much like what is going on in Yoda's head, like what is Yoda thinking, what is Yoda doing. So I think it'll be a really, really cool comic to see. So that's something really, really excited about. Maybe a little bit more underrated, kind of under the radar, but that Yoda comic should be pretty sick. And in that, you know, we saw that announcement at a like Marvel Comics panel at one of the smaller stages. We saw Ahsoka on like one of like the biggest stage, and so on and so forth. So they had over 12 stages and rooms that you could experience panels in. So we didn't get to see everything, but we saw lots of really, really cool stuff. So what was your favorite panel that you got to attend over the weekend? And we'll switch it up and we'll go with Stefani.
So I had 2. The Latinx panel was really good. It was really interesting to get a Latinx representation panel in such a big convention like Star Wars. So I didn't expect to see that, and I'm really glad that we got to go. And the second one was the Visions panel, because I did get to cosplay as 2 characters from Visions, and I did dress up as Ocho for that panel, and I got recognized by the executive producers and the voice actress for Ocho. So that was like a highlight for me. That was like super exciting.
Yeah, and then she yeah, and you have to take a picture with her and everything, right? And then I think you were the only Ocho that we saw the entire weekend, right? So I don't think
saw a lot of Fs.
Yeah, so I don't know if she's even seen another Ocho cosplayer. So that was really, really
it was just really exciting when she like talked about like her favorite moment was like when she like bites her thumb and like puts blood on her eyes and chops off her hair, and I was like, that is literally the moment that I'm cosplayed as, and you're like here. So it was super exciting.
Yeah. What about you, Albert?
It's the most exciting moment.
If I what was your favorite panel that you got to go?
Yes. Yeah. I would say again, going back to the Mandalorian panel, it was just, again, like I walked in expecting a Mandalorian like season 3 look. I got that, but just the way that they set it up, like all the actors came out, you got to see all the funny banters. Pedro Pascal came out, the stuntmen that help him with the Mandalorian come out. Rosario Dawson came, Katie Sackhoff, all of them. Then they surprise Rosario Dawson, comes out at the end. She gives a kiss in the cheek to every single actor, but then she gets to Pedro Pascal and they kissed on the lips, and then she kept going and kissed everyone else in the cheek. And then we just like, wait a minute. Well, I know Pedro's handsome as you know, I know Pedro's super handsome, but what's going on here? Like, what?
Dude.
So I would say, you know, like, it was. I remember it was stressful getting into the that panel, but just being in that room, it was so electrifying. I walked out like just gleeful, just extremely happy, extremely excited. Like, this is exactly why I'm here. And I also got to see Tamora Morrison at the Star Wars stage, like the StarWars.com live stage. And he came out doing a haka there. And after his very good interview, he was very enthusiastic. He ended it with like a show, like he sang for everybody and we all followed along. And then everybody like took out their lightsabers and we were like waving, kind of like you would like a lighter, but it was lightsabers, and like that man can get a crowd riled up. Like,
yeah.
What did he sing, by the way?
God, I have it on video. Let me.
Okay.
I don't remember the song name. I'll pull it up, and then we can touch back on it.
Okay.
And for me, it's crazy because like you had that moment, and we didn't, but it doesn't mean that we didn't have a great moments going on. Because I think that's the same time that we're in the Visions panel, right? Like you're meeting, you're meeting the voice actors while he's over there doing that. And I think that's just like the power of Star Wars Celebration, is that you can have amazing experiences no matter what you choose. So if you're worried, if you're going to be there in London, or if you're kicking yourself for not making that one panel or that one stage appearance, it's okay, because whatever you experienced probably was just as cool as everything else, because we didn't even get into the main stage stuff. Like we missed the Bad Batch thing, and we missed the light and magic main panels just because of the timing. It just didn't work out. I don't think we missed out on anything because what we were already doing at that time was as memorable anyway.
And that was like a random thing too. Like y'all were at the Visions panel for an hour. I was checking out Ashley Eckstein doing her thing, and she ended at what she ended, and I still had 30 minutes before I met up with you guys, and I just happened to be there, and then it's like Tamora Morrison, and I just ran there. I had to see him, and that's kind of what I loved about it. It was something that I didn't plan. I just kind of stumbled upon that moment.
Yeah, I think it's tough because there's just so many cool things that happen, but I think if I think of one that I wasn't expecting, like if we got into the panels where Rosario Dawson comes out or Pedro Pascal comes out, we're going to be excited. So I expect to be excited. I expect to be excited in a thing that I waited an hour in line for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think one of the coolest things that we got to experience was kind of like what you had, Albert, but we had walking around, not knowing what's really going on, looking at the things, and we hear, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen to the stage at that same, YouTube live stage that they had going on. And then just the absolute rush of people, because apparently there was no programming that was listed anywhere. So you couldn't find out who was going to be on the stage. So, Ron Howard could show up, the Inquisitors could show up, Ian McDermott could show up. And then we had just lucked out that Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen were there on Thursday on the first day, and we got to be there, a few feet from what was going on because of the ADA stage that we were on.
The two biggest stars there that weekend.
Yeah,
I think that moment like set the mood for that stage in particular, like where they're like, we really do not have a script, we don't have a schedule, we cannot tell you like what's going to happen, but that moment really set the mood for that stage for the rest of the weekend. You wanted to be there. Definitely.
And if you're worried, like if you're like, because obviously they have like a teleprompter that they're reading off of for some of like the things that are going on. But if you're worried, if you think like, oh, they just all of that crowd was just there for like the TV and stuff. No, like they're throwing out Lego Star Wars for Xbox. They're throwing out stress balls. They're doing all these random things, and those cheers weren't prompted. If you were there, if you watched the stream, or if you watched the stream, or if you heard about the situation where they ended that segment that we saw with Hayden Christensen saying this is where the fun begins, and the roof gets blown off the convention center, that happened. Like he could barely get a word in because every other 5 seconds it was Hayden chants happening. Like it's an insane experience, especially if you've been, a part or like have seen any of the discourse of, the prequels and Hayden's character and things like that. To see that was insane because he got bigger pops than the guy who has the TV show that everybody loves. Like that's crazy.
Dude, it's crazy because like I taking pictures of like cutouts of him, like when I was little, like scrawny, awkward me, taking pictures of him, and I'm like, holy crap, he's right here.
Yeah.
And I'm experiencing this moment. Ugh.
Yeah, and it just opens it up for everybody to see them, right? Because if you didn't get in on the main stage for that first time, you might have thought, hey, there's no way I'm seeing them the rest of the weekend. And here they are in the middle of the convention floor shooting the stuff, you know, which is crazy. Yeah. Speaking of the con floor, kind of move a little bit away from the panels and the kind of those experiences. But what'd you buy? I know that we got a bunch of cool free stuff. Like way more free stuff. Cool stuff. People told us, hey, you're going to get free stuff with this thing. I have so many new posters I got to buy frames for. So many cool stickers. At one of the panels we were at, we got exclusive Pringle Obi-Wan Kenobi. Can't have it anywhere. If you go look it up on eBay, it's like $500 on eBay type things. Frosted Flake box of light and dark side Frosted Flakes. So we got a lot of really cool stuff. But what did you buy that you're like, yes, I'm glad I bought this. No buyer's remorse. And we'll start with Stefan because I feel like Albert's gonna need to set up his mood for his display.
So I guess touching base on like what Adrian wanted to buy. Adrian wanted to buy something that was a little bit on a pricey. And I know he's like a spender in our relationship. He was like, can you please buy something that's just as much to justify this purchase? And I was like, yes, of course. Like, I want you to experience Star Wars. I don't want you to hold back. And I was lucky enough to like, they had a booth and they're called Girls Crew. Anyways, so this is like them. And they had a bunch of like girly jewelry that was Star Wars themed. And after I saw these, I was like, I have to buy them. And I usually question a lot of my purchases, but I was like, oh no, I'm buying this because I mean, hopefully it's look at that. Like
I love is that Shakti or not Ahsoka? Yeah, Ahsoka. Like I love that. It's like Ahsoka,
yeah, dude, it's super cute and dainty. And those weren't the only things that I bought. I bought a couple of earrings and a couple of rings. And it's just like it's a good like flair of like not me being like, oh, this is Star Wars, you know, and it's just like cute and dainty of like, oh, if you're looking at it, oh, you can tell it's Star Wars. So I really, really like that purchase.
Yeah, and then while Albert's still setting up his
no, I'm good to go.
Oh, you're good to go. Okay, sure.
You know, I'm good to go.
No, I'm good to go. Yeah. I just so you know, I get there and I'm like, I just have to buy one. And there you go. I got myself a lightsaber. I want to say moments before I met Ian McDermott, I just had to meet Sith himself with a Sith lightsaber. And now I have two lightsabers here at home, and I can but yeah, no, this is probably by far my biggest, like my purchase that I'm most excited about. I'm gonna be swinging this thing at home all the time now. I mean, obviously about shirts, obviously about all these other things, but one lightsaber. Lightsaber Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, then I ended up buying my big purchase. You know, usually when we go to the conventions, we save all our money for the prints and like the action figures or whatever the case is. But because we got so much stuff just from being at the con, I wanted to do something bigger. So I got a Citizen watch. They have Citizen, the watch company has like a cool Star Wars crossover, like with digital watches, with analog watch. It's just crazy how much stuff they had. But they had this gray-faced watch that had like the Imperial symbol and like the Rebel symbol on it. They had another one that had like the Death Star scene of Luke and Vader fighting. Like just anything you can think of, they had it. So yeah, I picked one of those up. I'm really excited to wear that around. And when people are like, oh, you have a nice watch, I'm like, oh, the Star Wars watch. Yeah, you didn't know that they think it's got this fancy, but they do. Yeah, so definitely going to be bringing a whole other suitcase to London in 2023 to
oh hell yeah,
really clear it out there next time around. Switching gears from there a little bit, cosplay. Stefani talked a little bit about her cosplay there, and they get some really, really amazing cosplays. I mean, we've been to conventions a bunch, but this had some stuff like on another level. Like I don't think I've seen stuff like this cool outside of like BlizzCon, where people are there to legitimately cosplay. So what are some of your favorite cosplays that you saw? And we'll start with our resident cosplayer first.
So we did go to a Padme panel, which gave me more perspective of like how long some of these cosplays take for Padme's costumes. I already have some background. I already had an idea, but after that, it made me really appreciate some of the cosplays that were there. But one in particular, I can't remember her name, but she was in the panel and she was dressed up as Queen Amidala, but with Dia de los Muertos, like spinoff. And it was just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, she was really, really cool. And then she gave like really great tips after too. They were so like nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were all super nice. What about you,
Yeah.
Albert?
I would say, I mean, all the Padme Amidala, like Queen Amidala cosplayers, like came, like they were amazing. Like the royalty, like you could feel that it was fancy leather, fancy material. Like I felt like, oh my god, like these. Not only did the women go hard on the costume, but their hair, like the hair. Like, I don't know how much time they put on like the actual hair, but you could see like the crazy intricate Padme like Queen Amidala designs, like things. I don't know what you call it. But yeah, like that was out of this world. The Twi'leks were cool, like all the alien species were cool.
So
but
many.
I would say like what really impressed me were the droids. You know, you're walking around this convention and you little R2D2 just bump into you, you know, and then not like a oh that's cute, that sort of looks like R2D2. No, straight up real R2D2 sounds like him, will take out his little like hands and do something with that. BB-8, the little BB-8 rolling around. And these are all made by fans. Choppers. Like the fan, and Chopper there's too. Like these are fan made, like real hardcore robotics people will make these and go around, you see them controlling them and they're interacting there with the kids. Like that is like on a level that I never even like fathomed. I didn't know how seriously some people took it. It's really, really, really inspiring and amazing to see that.
Yeah, it's really great. You know, I think I'm not obligated, but if I don't say it, I'm probably going to be in trouble. But you know, obviously there's this one Ocho cosplayer, or this one F cosplayer did really good. I thought she was great. I thought she killed it. I thought she absolutely killed it. But I think other than obviously, you know, my wife, who I know put a lot of work into her stuff, I think the mashups were super cool. Like there was tons of Mandalorian mashups. There was this Captain America and Wonder Woman mashup. This couple, dude, they looked so cool. He had like the shield. You know, it was just crazy, and she was dressed all in gold. Those were awesome. There was the samurai group that were walking around, and they were, you know, feudal Japan style Star Wars. It was insane. And even that, just like the range of cosplayers from like little kids to old people. There was this one Asian couple who was dressed as old Han and old Leia from like the sequel trilogy, like those were the Han and Leia that they picked, and they looked so perfect. So just being able to see all the different versions of the cosplay was super cool. And you know, we made the tough decision not to go to the cosplay contest, mainly because we were already seeing so many great cosplays forever. Like we saw that giant General Grievous walking around, you know, so there was definitely lots of good things there. Mm-hmm. So you know, cosplay panels, buying stuff, those are all kind of like big things that happen. It's just all those are, just real quick, all those are on your are on your Twitter, right? Like all the cosplayers, all the yeah. You'll be able to see all of those cosplayers on our Twitter feed, already posted there, and then on our Instagram as well. Same thing for the droids. The droid builders had a giant room in there, and that kind of takes me to my next point of like, what was something that was like underrated that you saw? I think for me, that droid builders thing was pretty underrated. I don't think enough people saw it. So if you want to see it, you can definitely see it on our Instagram. But there were lots of R2s, lots of BB-8s rolling around, but the kind of range of droids that they had in there, like they had giant K2SOs that you can take pictures with. They had an HK-47 from like the old Republic games in there. Just all kinds of just different droids, and it was free. You just like walk around and they take a picture with K2SO and you walk out, and it was free. You could see, you know, hundreds of droids without having to pay anything extra. You know, because they had like the Mandalorian installation there, which was obviously sick, but wasn't as accessible as being able to go walk around and see these sick droids just on display and moving around. Even like the C-3PO had like the programming thing off for the laptop right in front of it, so you can kind of see the software behind how those things worked too. So, and then they were on the other side of the room, they were doing a bunch of like kid stuff. So you could see them like they 3D printed like little lightsabers that you put glow sticks into. They were showing them like how like perpetual motion works, all the droid builders. So that was 100% one of I think the most underrated parts of the convention for me. But what about you, Stefani?
I think that life stage in particular for YouTube. I think that was like the most underrated because I could see at times it would be really empty. And then I think because like people just didn't like realize because there was no like prompt or schedule. But I think that stage was super underrated because dude, we saw like some of this like awesome stuff there. And I think that that stage alone was just super underrated.
Yeah. And it's like the hosts were so good.
Oh,
Shout
dude,
out to my
something.
man Chuck and Rob in the Twin Sun
Oh
stage.
yeah, Chuck and Rob.
Those guys were legit. You know, they really brought that energy, and it really like how they kept that over for 4 days is
Dude.
especially that live stage, because you're right, like sometimes there'd be nobody there, and then sometimes you had the
Yeah.
entire room packed, and he just kept the energy
They
the whole
did a
time.
great job hiring these people. Like they
Yeah.
know exactly what they're doing. And I'm not really much of a clapping hyping person, but like they
Yeah.
got me like, oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
never, it was
I don't know
never
who I'm about to
cringy or
see.
anything.
Never cringy.
Yeah, it was
Never.
never cringy.
No.
Never at
Yeah.
all. And I don't know, that's just because like the space you're in, because it's Star Wars and everyone's kind of there for the same reasons. So like, how can anything be cringy when we're all like nerds here, right? But they
I would say
nailed it.
the funniest thing is like we're in line to go see Ian McDermott, and then that guy like shows up like at the live stage, and we're like, wait a minute, I'm about to take a picture with you. What are you doing over there, dude? Like,
Yeah, because the way the photo op, the way the photo op was set up, the photo op autograph was set up right next to the live stage. So as we're getting in line, Ian McDermott's coming out of the live stage. You're like, hey, like, isn't it our time like to
And
meet him?
he's out there saying memes. He's like, it's like treason or whatever. He's saying all the
Yeah.
things, and I'm like, I'm
What?
gonna take a picture with you. Like, get over here. Like,
I take my money.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
No,
that's a
That
cool
was
stage. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It
fun
was a
'cause it's-
really cool stage.
Yeah. Was there anything else underrated for you, Albert?
I mean, I guess like as far as like what are my expectations? The Latinx panel, the big representation of Latin
Yeah.
people in Star Wars. I didn't know what to expect much of that panel, but it was a really, like enlightening panel. I didn't realize how much Latin representation already is in Star Wars. They pointed out in that convention, which was hosted by a lot of YouTubers a lot of film YouTubers that are great, big Star Wars fans. Roca, Hector Navarro were there, and Danny Fernandez, and they mentioned like the Vanity Fair article that just came out with Ewan and Pedro Pascal, like 3 out of the 4 people that are leading the biggest Star Wars shows right now are of Hispanic descent, and it's like, whoa, that's crazy. Rosario
Dude, I thought-
Dawson, Pedro, and Cassian Andor.
I thought you were gonna say the kid stage.
The kid
Because
stage,
you
know,
did
that
get
was-
to see.
I was like, so I have a big crush on Ashley Eckstein, voice of Ahsoka. She's like my favorite character. And she was doing a meditation panel, but it was a kids thing, so it's like, but she was like right there. So I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
no,
God,
dude, she was so
yeah,
close. I was like, why in the world is there like no bodyguards around her? What is going on here?
Yeah. That Latinx panel was crazy. Like we the cool thing about that is that like we decided like not to go try and do the big thing on stage. I think there's the Bad Batch thing on the last day.
Yeah,
And
that was
we
going on.
didn't go to the Bad Batch because we wanted to go support again those amazing Latinx creators that they brought. Katrina. I have to go pull them up. Let me go pull them up real quick. Katrina Dennis, Hector Navarro, John Roca, Danny Fernandez, Kayla Soto. They killed it. It was so good that I didn't even want to live tweet during it for our coverage. I wanted to just be there and experience it. So I know Kayla on her Instagram, Kayla Soto on her Instagram, she live filmed, she Instagram lived it. Yeah. So I would definitely go and check that one out because it's really, really great. And they deserve more recognition and more support for how great their panel was, how diversely like that cast was. Everyone was someone different. Everyone was a different shade of brown. Everyone was, in that. So definitely go check that out on Kayla Soto's Instagram if you can. So thank you for mentioning that one, Albert, because that's definitely super important.
Yeah.
I just feel it was underrated because like not a lot of talk happened post that panel. And as you pointed out earlier, like it could have been filled out more. It could have been in a bigger stage, and it wasn't.
Yeah, definitely. is as much as like the representation for the films is important, the representation for the panels is even more important, maybe because it's the people in the room who are more easily accessible. So definitely, great things there. So to kind of round out some of our time here, it might be hard for you to kind of say just because there's so much crazy things happen, but what was your favorite moment of the whole thing? Like, what's like the thing that you look back on, like this was, the best moment of the convention? We'll start with Albert.
I want to say getting roasted by Apollo Creed himself. We shook his hand. Adrian went first and then Stefani, and I went next at the end, and he told me, like, "You gonna take that lanyard off, kid? You look like a guy at a convention." Like, he basically called me a nerd. Like, and I'm like, I have never been so happy to be roasted by anybody ever in my life. So that to me, and then we took a picture behind Adrian. So afterwards.
Yeah, very, very great. What about you, Stefan?
For some of you guys, I've been working on like some cosplays, and I was like struggling like the last like week or two because I haven't cosplayed in years. And going into that Visions panel, I never ever thought I would ever meet the executive producers and the voice actor for the character that I cosplayed as. And I got to do that. Like, after that whole situation that happened, I wanted to cry because I was like, I remember sitting down and like this guy's like complimenting my cosplay, and I was like, "Oh, okay, dude, okay, thanks." And then he like goes up onto the stage. I was like, "Oh my god, it's him!" and then like halfway into the panel, I see the voice actress for Ocho, and she's like talking about the favorite scene of hers is the same favorite scene as mine, who I'm cosplaying as. And then I finally get to see her at the end, and she's like, "I need to take a picture with you." I was like, no, I need to take a picture with you. So like I don't think I've ever had that experience of all the cosplays that I've made. I've never had that kind of opportunity. And I never thought that out of the biggest convention, I would have that close of an interaction, which was nuts.
Yeah, it was really great. Super special. I think for me, it's being in the Mandalorian stage at the very end of the panel when all of them get together and take a picture with Grogu. It's crazy being in the room for that, because like that is Star Wars. The diversity, the passion, the family aspect that they all had together. And I got to do that and share that with, my wife, who is, my favorite person on the planet, and Albert, who is without a doubt my most Star Wars friend that I have, so just being in the moment and being able to be there, especially after everything that happened for us to get there that morning, all went away when that moment happened. So I think that would be for me. All right, I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna get us out of here for our last question. So whether you're watching us on YouTube or you're listening to us on our feed, you probably know that fandom is a big part of what we do here at But Why Though, and really kind of talking about the significance of why those things matter, and asking that question, but why though? So to kind of get us out of here, and for our last question, maybe keep it to like maybe 1 or 2 minutes here, but why does Star Wars matter to you? And we'll start with Albert.
There's this great interview that happened with Mark Hamill when Last Jedi came out. They asked him a very similar question, why Star Wars? And he said it's great escapism. What appeals to me a lot about Star Wars is it's not set in our world, it's set in a galaxy far, far away. And we get to escape and be there, and like leave and get to like see these great stories about fathers and sons and tragic heroes, and get to learn these great lessons and bring them here and argue with friends about which movies we like more than others, or argue about the rankings. And I think the cultural impact that Star Wars has had is amazing, and I love the people that's brought me closer with, and lots to say I've learned from it.
Yeah. What about you, Stefani?
Too.
It's a really hard question for me because I feel like I liked Star Wars and I really loved Star Trek because of my father, but I feel like Star Wars felt like for Christmas for me. Like I grew into really loving Christmas because of Adrian. And I feel like Star Wars, is something that I grew to love because of Adrian. And it's so diverse, and it's like escapes, like you get to escape, and then there's so much good story into this one like this one thing, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So I love it because of you.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm in the same boat there. You know, Star Wars is part of some of like the most core memories in my life from back when I was a kid, getting action figures from my grandmother, from going to the midnight showings with my aunt and uncle, playing Star Wars Galaxies, my first MMO that I've ever played, you know, to marrying my wife with Darth Vader from the 501st Legion walking behind her, with my parents dressed up as Lando Calrissian and Mon Mothma, you know, with my grandma dressed up as a Jedi. It's you know, to truly growing close to Albert through our weekly watches, The Mandalorian, you know, to this picture that's going to be hanging in my house forever. Like, those are the moments that I have, and they're the corest of core memories because of Star Wars. And I can't like picture like what my life would be without it.
Also, lasers are cool, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly. And it's just
cool.
super freaking cool. Like, why do you know, how does it not matter?
It's like, have you seen the costumes? It's just
like,
fun. Like,
you don't need clips. It's just lasers, you know?
Yeah.
Unlimited.
Man.
It can be deep, or it can just be like, I like the pretty
Space
lights.
cowboys.
Yeah, I'm just space cowboys. All right. Well, we're running really, really close to time here, so I'm going to get us out of here. You can find all of our social media and things like that in the descriptions of everything in the belows or on the screen or wherever it is. You can find us. If you want to find us, you can find us there. But as always, you can find all the great pop culture conversations and coverage happening at butwhythoughpodcast.com, as well as butwhythoughpc on all of our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, all those great things. If you're looking for a space to kind of share your celebration feels, or Star Wars in general, or, you know, that kiss that Rosario gave Pedro on stage, or just anything pop culture in general, you can head over to our Discord and kind of join in those conversations at discord.gg/butwhythough. In all, it's been a blast. Thank you guys for joining us, whether you're watching us here on YouTube or listening on our feed for this trip down memory lane. Until next time, may the Force be with you always. Bye, guys.